going on, guys? So we're gonna react to one of my old videos. Should be interesting. This should be interesting. This video. The 8 political, what is it? The 8 values. Now listen, when I took this, I wasn't necessarily optimizing for any particular result. I was simply just answering the questions as I went, and it was really more about my analysis than it was about the end result. Like I don't really, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting from this, but yeah, I ended up getting neocon. I spoiled it. I don't know if this test even has any validity. I certainly, by the way, I'm getting a haircut soon, so you guys will not see my hair. I'm looking like a homeless person. This is ridiculous. I almost never grow my hair out like this. But whatever, I'm depressed. I've been lazy. I'm single. I'm living alone. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? All right, so we're going to watch this video here where I look way better than I do now. Am I wearing the same shirt? I don't know if I'm wearing the same shirt. Everyone, my name's Mac. I'm coming to you guys with another video. So I'm mostly looking for my analysis. The point of this stream is just to see the ways I've changed and to prove that views are bullshit because views change. These people, like I watch streamers and they're so obsessed with their own views. You know what I'm saying? Like they're so obsessed with just calling out anybody who doesn't agree with them. But then they fail to understand that years later they'll disagree with them, their past self. But somehow that's valid. You see the bias there. It's really bullshit. Really, we're always forever changing people, and I expect me to say a lot of things in this audio that I don't agree with, and I'm probably gonna say some things in this audio that impress me, that I totally was like a based former self moment. I really don't know what to expect. I only remember a few things about this. I didn't put that much effort into this video, so it was really just one of those like take a test as you go kind of things. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Today I'm coming to you guys with I guess this 8 values test. It's I guess some political test. I mean, there's a bunch of these, but I haven't taken this one ever. By the way, if we have time, I'm gonna react to a content creator later on that someone's been asking me to cover. If I don't cover her in this stream, then I will go live at sometime in the future and cover her. And I don't know. I seen some people shilling it, so I don't know. I was curious. I'm gonna take it on the fly, give you my modern day opinions on these questions. I looked at the first question. It looked pretty good, so I was like, all right, let me stop and make a video out of this because I don't know. It's content. For some reason, I really think I am wearing the same shirt. That's just pathetic. You know, there might be room for debate with a lot of. It might be a different shirt. As usual with politics, I have a lot of these. To every coin, right? Obviously, they're both optimizing for different things. So you got people who say, well, because they're optimizing for different things, the best thing to be is in the middle, right? Balance. Those are centrists. And then there's people who say, well, since they're optimizing for different things, the best thing to be is actually extreme. And you want to be, the worst thing you can be is in the middle because that's, a half measure. It's a waste of effectiveness and all that. So there's people known as anti-centrists. And those are people who say, all ideologies are good, but... Yeah, fuck centrism, honestly. Fuck centrism. All of them except the middle, right? But at the same time, if you're not willing to die for a belief, do you really believe it? People who are centrist, they hate it. They can't stand people who stand for nothing. So, as usual, this is a multifaceted... This is why women can't have real beliefs. They're not willing to die for anything. They have no point where that like a principle is broken, and that's it. They'll snap, Discussion and all that, but oh wait, yeah. What the fuck am I doing? The cam is taking up the whole screen like a. Oh my god, guys, you guys suck. You guys suck. What the fuck is going on? Jesus fuck, man. This is. Wait, hold on. What corner do I put myself in? Yeah, it's been 2 years. I was probably 22 at the time. Now we're gonna give. Let's take a look at the date. Fuck, how old was I? Yeah, I think I was. Yeah, I think I was 22. Yeah, yeah, I was 22. My modern day opinions. My political views have changed over the years. So I'll be interested to see what I come out as. But yeah, click here to start. You will be presented with a series of statements. For each one, click the button with your opinion on it. Okay, got it. All right. 70 questions. Also, it takes the traditional strongly agree, disagree, neutral approach. I just want to state for any of you guys who take tests like this, I just want to state a few things about tests like this, particularly ones with this format, right? With these 5 answers. Never, and I mean never, if you can, maybe once on a test total, but try to avoid it at all costs. Put neutral. Never put neutral. Yeah. Neutral. All neutral does is make the test harder to test what you actually are. For sure. They shouldn't even have that as an option. Shitty ass result if you click neutral. It doesn't benefit anything. How could you not have a view on something? You know, like you're taking a test and it's asking you what your view is. You know, really, really neutral is it's like what you answer when like you're just too pussy to say one or the other. It's not that you're actually neutral in terms of your score. It's not like, oh, throw me on both. It simply just makes the test harder to test you. So never put neutral. Plus, what are you so neutral about anyway? You can't put thought into it. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, and also using that logic, it's also great to assume that strongly agree and strongly disagree are quite superior to agree and disagree. So generally speaking, when you take tests, if you want to get the best result possible, you should probably stick to the strongly agree and strongly disagree options in a format like this. That's just my advice for people who take these tests. Now, if you don't strongly disagree and you do only slightly disagree, that's fine. But I'm just saying, if you want to get the best result possible, that this is the kind of method you should take. So anyway, back to the test. Oppression by corporations is more of a concern than oppression by governments. So as I said, this was the question I looked at. This one even made me think for a second, because nowadays you actually have tremendous oppression by corporations. Particularly, the big problem right now is big tech censoring people, which is clearly unconstitutional, right? And they see, instantly, I was just gonna say governments are worse. There's no debate. Despite the fact that it's a private corporation and they can do what they want with their own corporation, clearly social media has reached a realm where it affects your livelihood and ability to live in the same way if you're being censored all the time. And because it's such a big deal that the top 7 sites on the internet, if you get banned off those, you're pretty much banned from the internet. That's completely unacceptable to give this kind of power over to corporations. But even with that being said, governments as a whole generally are they're more important to be concerned with. I didn't say that correctly, but I am more concerned with the oppression by governments than oppression by corporations, because the kind of power governments have isn't power money can buy. I mean, in some instances, yeah, you can. Politicians do sell out, but at the end of the day, if money was everything, you would see people like Jeff Bezos and stuff running the world, and you really don't. They might have a large effect on a crevice of the planet, but it seems to me like the power that comes from governments is unique in a way that is more concerning. Well, yeah, because they have militaries, and militaries are everything. It's just the monopoly on violence that's everything. You can't even really own anything unless you have the monopoly on violence. So, corporations, to me, like I said, I gave a strong case for why corporations are, or an instance where corporations are extremely oppressive in the modern day. And even with that happening, I am still more concerned with the oppression of governments. And it's because when it gets to a point where corporations are oppressive, the only thing that can take them down is the government. So what does that make the government? Well, that's the thing. We're in such late stage capitalism these days, and they're like certain companies like Google ought to be the government. You know what I mean? They might as well be the same thing as the government. The government has a huge stake in what happens at Google because it's a military asset. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's just megacorps and shit. I feel like in the case of big tech, it's to a point where these sites are never going to go bankrupt, right? They're never going to go bankrupt. You'll never see someone replace these sites. So in that case, you need the government to step in. That's one thing I actually agree with the nationalists on. And that's myself. I take myself as more of a libertarian. But I'm to the point where I respect the libertarian stance and the nationalist stance so much that I can argue both sides. And one thing I do think the nationalists have right is that the government, particularly Trump should have done it, needs to step in and break up big tech. Like, completely ruin them. Yeah, but like, you notice even my argument is very libertarian? Like, the only reason I want the government to come in and stop big tech is to enable libertarian, principles and to enable freedom, basically. Even though I'm, like, kind of pro-authority on this stance,
it kind of stems from a pro-freedom perspective in a way,
like gut
you
their
know?
influence on censorship and stuff like that. I don't know what the right approach to it is, but they should not have this much control over censorship in the modern day. It's unconstitutional and all that. And so,
Yeah.
since you have a perfect example of corporations being oppressive, and the solution to that is literally the government, to me, that makes the governments even more oppressive than corporations. So, I'm actually concerned with government more. Um, so,
Yeah, but
that's
how
why I'm
could
going to
you not be concerned with government more? You know, how could you not be? You have to be like one of these AOC type of people, like, you know, it doesn't make any sense.
put oppression by governments as more oppressive here. So, yeah, that's my take on that. Oppression by So I disagree with that. It is necessary for government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers.
Hate
I
this
agree.
question. I hate this question. I hate this question because I don't want it to be true, but it is true.
Yes, that was pretty much what I was just saying. Now, obviously, the thing that's fucked up is that there's
The
not a lot.
problem is, though, the amount that they need to step in, you could never have that because what you're going to have is you're either going to have the government stepping in too much, which is what you have today, or you're going to have them not stepping in enough, and you're never going to hit that sweet spot, and it's such a subjective opinion on where that sweet spot is.
A lot of cases of this. So this is an instance where I do strongly agree with the premise, but I would argue that I don't want them to do it with a lot of things. It really
I
shouldn't really
argue
have to.
against a lot of my stances here. I argue against a lot of my real views of you know, anarcho-capitalism and all these other things. Like these other philosophies I really like. I give a really rational reason. It's like if you know your own view, you'll actually be able to counter it, kind of thing.
Happen in terms of like a monopoly. So otherwise, government doesn't need to be stepping into anyone's business. Um, but in this case, it does seem like the government does need to
What
put.
we need is an AI to govern the government and have like a point where it's like, okay, oh, you went too far. You know what I'm saying? Like we need a governor that isn't a human.
Their nose in some things, and so it would be wrong for
This is what
them
you
to
call it, humanity's waifu, right? Or you could just have her make all the rules, but it could be very dangerous.
put agree, because I do strongly agree with the premise here. Even though I'm pretty anti-government, I don't know. This is fucked up too because I really hate the
That's
government
the
intervening
thing.
in the economy.
I hate that it's true is the thing. I want to say no, but I can't because I value truth too much.
But it's clear that it is needed. It's
Yeah,
clear that it's needed, and we see
exactly,
why today,
exactly,
right? So that's the
exactly.
question. I would prefer if they didn't, but it really does appear to me like it is needed.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna put strongly
Unfortunately
agree here.
so.
The freer the markets, the freer the people. I mean, this is the basic libertarian premise, right? So you got me arguing the nationalist stance in the first two, but now the libertarian stance here.
Are they? Was I really arguing a nationalist stance though? Like, I did answer two, you know, authoritarian answers, but I answered them because you literally have to, not because you. It's like if you go that far into the freedom camp, you're delusional. I try to balance my obsession with freedom with rationalization. I'm not gonna sit here and be delusional about it.
Uh,
You know.
I mean, this is kind of like it's true to a fault, and then it becomes untrue if it gets too out of hand. But for the most part, I would agree with this. So I do agree with the libertarian principle there.
Yeah, of course.
It is better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. That is 100% true. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Publicly funded research is more.
Although I will say the leftists are right about the damage that wealth inequality does to humanity. It's not to be understated. You know, when people, the way poor people are treated, and most people are poor. Of course, natural selection makes it that way, where a couple people will own almost all the money. And they 100% are right about wealth inequality and about how bad of a thing that it is. Of course, there is no system you could make where some kind of imbalance does not occur because it's nature. It's not you can't make a man-made system, throw everyone into the loop, and then expect the hierarchy to not end up like that. You know, the top 400 people will own 20% of the money or whatever. The top 1% will own almost all of it, and there's literally nothing you could do to prevent that.
beneficial to the people than leaving it to the market.
It would be the same thing in any other system. There'd be a hierarchy, and the people on the top would have almost everything. the thing is, like leftists in these pro welfare types, they want to like make some man-made thing that fixes wealth inequality, but you can't. You can't. The only way to do that is to completely breach the principles of the system, and you could never do that. Like either you make a system and you let it go, and it happens, or you make a system and you fuck with it, and then you don't even have that system anymore. You have a, you know what I'm saying? What is it? Like if you chase two rabbits, you'll catch neither one, kind of thing. Like if you're trying to implement socialist policies in a capitalist system, you're just gonna get a broken ass system.
No, I don't agree. Fuck you. I don't want
Publicly funded research. I like that I said fuck you. Yeah, because that's exactly how I feel today. Fuck you.
taxes. I don't care.
Fuck
your
your
public shit. I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care. I
Let's
just don't
go.
care about your shit. Leave me alone. I just want to be left alone. You see what I'm saying? And if part of me being left alone is that other people don't oppress me, then I'm fine with the government intervening with corporate.
I'm basically arguing the pro-freedom stance at any point that you possibly can that isn't delusional. That's pretty much what I'm doing
I
here.
want the government intervening with me, right? So publicly funded. That's code for let's tax the fuck out of you.
Yeah,
And pretend
that's all
that it's
that is.
benefiting you when it's not. So if the government
I've seen publicly funded healthcare and stuff like that. It is fucking garbage. Like it's really, really bad.
intervenes,
And Europe doesn't count. Europe is it's totally a fake system.
to keep things at bay, that's fine. But if the government's intervening in a way like this, this is just outright. It's just outright theft, right? Taxation is really just kind of wrong. Um, the only thing I want the government for, really, other than the niche example of big tech that I gave you, which is a rare case, right? They're probably more common than I'm giving them credit for, but um,
What I'm saying there is that there are more instances in that I'm forced to give the anti-freedom stance than I would personally prefer. That's what I'm trying to say there. And I'm saying, my basic stance is, I'm about to say what my basic stance is, would be, for the government to only offer this one thing. I already know what I'm about to say. But, unfortunately, I'm having to bend the knee in a couple other authoritarian policies, you could say, because otherwise you're really not connected to reality at all.
For the most part, right? You have the government really doesn't need to be doing shit
Like
that.
those first two questions, the idea that you could just let monopolies roam free. Are you trying to kill us? Or the first one, do they have to step in? Yeah, they do have to step in every once in a while.
Or those cases don't come up. The only thing I really want the government for at all is a military. That's it. Just keep me protected.
That's the one stance that I was saying. That's the one. And ideally, you could just have a government and their only job is to formulate a military. But that's why I say ideally, because it's not real. But if there are things that that also have to be tacked onto that, you could be absolutely sure I'm going to mention it here.
Keep our country strong militarily, and I'm good. But like shit like this, like publicly funded research, no.
Yeah, fuck that. Who cares? You just want to take my money.
To encourage local production. Yeah, I kind of agree with this, right? I mean, it's also sort
Yeah,
of.
why would you not? Why would you not take money from your competitors? Why would you not? What are you doing?
It's sort of like looking out for your own kind. Like
yeah, exactly.
Like the way I see it is unifying people is wrong. Like I don't believe in like trying to like bring everyone together. I think that's immoral. I think it's immoral to force people to work together.
Yeah,
that's what the left is trying to do nowadays. So for me,
I'm kind of changing the topic a bit there, but it still stands.
I think people work better when we're separated. Like people always say, "Oh, you just want to divide people." Yeah, I actually do want to divide.
Yeah, I do.
I think people should be divided, whether that's by class, whether that's by race. The more divided, the better. Because once people know where they stand in terms of who their allies are and who they aren't, that's when people actually start working together. When you force people to work together, it never works. It's like that science project at school. It fucking sucked, right? When the teacher put you guys together. But
I hated that shit so much. When the teacher would make you have group projects, I never did shit. I would sit on Hearthstone. I would make the other people do it.
When you divide people fundamentally
Fuck that.
and say, okay, okay, I'm going to look out for my own family over other families, right? Or I'm going to look out after my own children over other children. Okay, that sounds pretty logical. Then you could take the next step. You know,
That's what I
I'm going to
think
look out for
about
my own
forcing me to be with other people. I'm not doing shit. If you try to force me, I'm not doing shit.
community over other communities. Sounds reasonable to me. I'm going to look out for my own country over other countries. You know, sounds reasonable to me. Or, you know, I'm going to look out for my own race over other
So it's
races.
interesting here. I'm really, really arguing pro-nationalist stuff here. Like, I'm, like my stance is all pro-freedom, pro-freedom, pro-freedom. But then I'm arguing this. This isn't really a freedom question. I mean, does this really impose people on people's freedoms? Not really. It's just like, hey, if I have a team and there's another team, do you think it's right to tax that other team? And my answer is yes. So I do. The answers that don't necessarily interact with freedom, you're most likely going to hear me defend nationalism. Some liberal might say, well, you don't have to do that. I don't know why they would argue against this. It would have to be some they're like empathy people. So I don't know. Why would you not put tariffs? I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
It's just
So,
ridiculous.
and the second you have that, that's when it's like, oh, you're you and I'm me. And since you're you, you're not in this club.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second those kinds of conditions are set, that's when you can start like actually working together, right? The second you realize like, oh, that guy isn't on my side, well, he has something I want, let me work with him, and it kind of brings that like actual bond. You know what I'm saying? It brings that
Yeah.
genuine like connection there, rather than, hey guys, you guys are forced. It's like that doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't work. So, my answer to this here, tariffs on international trade are important to encourage local production. I think it's fine. I don't know if local production is. I don't think it's. Um,
I don't even so much care about. I don't know. I care about what benefits my team. If we're all on teams, I care about what benefits my team. So, um, I'm not one of these people. I'm not like obsessed with the idea that it has to be local production. It's just that I don't know. I don't know. I just I want what's best for the team.
I don't
You
know
know?
which part is more important actually. I think for me the important part is preservation of the self, right?
Right,
So
right,
like
right.
the thing that comes first is me, then the people close to me, then the community I live in, then the country that can
Right. You
produce
notice how
value.
I'm really, really at the core am an individualist. Like really, really am. Like you can't shake that. Like the way I just explained that is individualism 101. Like
You see what I'm saying? So like it's like a step up. And if everyone thought like that, the world would be a great place. Like it really
of
would.
course, individualism is a white construct as mentioned in Arthur Arcturus's most recent video. It is a white construct and that's why not every society has it.
And you might say, how would that be a great place? Competition would be through the roof, which encourages violence and all that. But even though the weak would die off, it still seems like it's better that way, because it does breed the best result for everyone. I don't know. It's kind of weird to people to think that actually dividing people leads to unity, um, but it actually really does. So anyway, yeah, some of that stuff I can go on and on about, but yeah, strongly agree. Um, wait, did I put the right one? Yeah, strongly agree. Okay, from each according to his ability to each according to his needs.
This is that Marxist
Um,
shit.
I've heard this one before.
By the way, Marx was an INTJ and
Yeah,
he's
I
high
told you this,
IQ.
right? It's basically saying
He's smart.
the better you are. Oh wait, this one I gotta look this up because
People see that shit, but he is a genius. That motherfucker. Isn't that
refers
Marx?
to
Yeah,
free
that's Marx.
access and distribution of goods. So it is a Marx bullshit. No,
Just
it,
anything
that's what I'm
like
saying.
this
The
though
wording is
has
so
to go.
confusing. The principle refers to free access and distribution of goods, capital, and service. The Marxist view, such an arrangement will be made possible by the abundance of goods and services developed by. Well, clearly it's
It's
wrong.
just a
But the idea
ridiculous
that with both of
concept.
them, no,
It's just like
it's basically saying. Okay, so now I get what it's saying. It's basically saying like you just do your best and we'll give you what you need. I don't agree with that. You should get how much you should receive value based on how good you are. I don't care if you're doing your all. If you're not good enough, you should just die off. Like that's the
yeah,
reality,
exactly.
right? If you're not contributing enough, if you're not contributing enough to the system, then and we keep you alive, you're actually detrimenting the entirety of the system. So could say, why don't you value the human enough? Blah blah blah. But if we keep alive everyone who doesn't deserve it, then the species will collapse, right? So do you want a functioning species, or do you want that one singular human?
Funny how there I sort of argue the unempathetic stance of like, well, look, if you're poor, it's your fault. But then 5 minutes ago, I have to, when I say I have to explain which I'm talking about. I'm talking about I today. 5 or 10 minutes ago was just arguing about how wealth inequality is a bad thing and how like it sucks that poor people get treated so poorly. It's a duality. I'm not saying I necessarily like that people are like that. I'm saying you can't tweak the system in a way where something like that doesn't happen. You just can't. It's inevitable.
To thrive. So I don't agree with this, right? If it's Marxist bullshit, it's ass. It would be best if social programs were abolished in the favor of private charity, of course.
That's just obvious. The fact that that's even a question is silly. Like I'm just saying.
Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. No, not at all, right?
Even if wealth inequality is a thing, how could you justify this kind of thing? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's such an attack on certain individuals. Like
inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. Yeah, of course, right? You have the.
This is the question that I thought about in my head, like 2 or 3 hours ago in the kitchen. That made me want to rewatch this video because to this day, this question just pops up in my head every once in a while, and I think I'm like, damn. That is a really, really good question. This is a really good question. I had never been asked this question or even thought about this question until I took this test. I want to see my reaction again because this was the first time I'd ever read this. This question is crazy good. I want to see what my answer is.
Inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. Yeah, of course, right? You have the genes of the person. You were raised in the community of the person.
I give the right answer though, and I always love how I give the answer instantly.
Even though you didn't earn it through ability, the fact that you're in the same bloodline of the guy who made it.
I give the perfect explanation on why it is.
Kind of, I think it belongs.
But do you realize why this question fucks with me? Why I think about it so much? In case you don't realize, I give the right answer, which is that it is a legitimate form of wealth. But do you notice that that is like an overtly anti-individualist stance? You notice that? I'm arguing the non-individualist stance. That's really weird. And to me, it's so obvious that that's not, like that the individualist stance on this one is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I thought for a collectivist instantly on this. I don't know why.
Belongs there, right? So
maybe that's why I think about it so much.
What other system would you have, right? Would you have some kind of system where, once the guy died, it got redistributed into like the system? Like that's kind of weird. Like seems to me like inheritance is fine. Now the psychological effects that someone might have from inherited money, like they maybe never.
I feel like the animal side comes out of you, where you kind of realize that that's a disturbing concept. To just redistribute the wealth of the individual back to the system. It'd be like if you had like coins, and when you died, your account was wiped, and you could never give any to your kids. That's just like that would be the individualist way, like because then it'd be like you would really have to produce value as an individual to make money. But nah. It's not good for society.
So they won't respect the money the same way. That kind of stuff.
Oh, I give the collectivist stance here.
Maybe if we could come up with some kind of.
And I think that's why I think about it so much.
Bad inheritance isn't the best thing, simply because it does distort cause and effect. Like they're getting an insane.
Right, and I do give
without working for it, so that is kind of bad. And generally speaking, I will put cause and effect above all else.
Right, I treat cause and effect like a god, like it's everything to me. So the idea that something like inheritance could exist kind of fucks with me. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody could just end up with more because their dad did more than my dad. That's a weird concept. It's really, really weird.
Really, in the sake of political discussions.
But I instantly give the right answer anyway, which is that it is a legitimate form of wealth because, and I explained why better than I could today. I explained it best already.
Things become infinitely more complex. than just having like a mega rule that you live by. And it seems to me like inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. You know, to have the DNA of the guy who acquired the wealth and to be raised by that, it seems fair to me that you receive the wealth. I don't know. My thing to this question is I don't really see what the alternative is. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right, right,
say,
right.
okay,
What's the
inheritance is bad.
alternative?
Like that's kind of weird, right? So
Taxing and
I don't
inheritance tax.
basic utilities. Like,
The alternative is unironically inheritance tax, which is I guess I'm more against tax than I am. But then again, it's not tax on you. It would be sort of a tax on money you didn't even earn. You know what I'm saying? The reasons why you need to keep inheritance and not tax it and give it all to the kids, and governments should not be concerned with how much inheritance is passed down, is because superior genetics are more likely to get rich, and it's just that simple. So by an inheritance tax, sort of puts the dog shit genes and the good genes on the same playing field. And this is not a stance that people want to hear, but that's really just what it is.
roads and electricity should be publicly owned. Um, doesn't seem like it would be very effective.
It's funny that I stumble on this one because this is the one that everyone always uses to try to, like, it's like they always use it to try to trip the libertarian, what about them roads, you know?
Right. So no. But also libertarian, depending on how libertarian you are, you might view differently on that.
I guess I just didn't know at the time, but yes, you can privatize roads, you can privatize electricity, and your fucking civilization will be fine.
I mean, this is tricky because in the beginning I say, all you want is military, but then it's like, well, really, you want military now?
Yeah,
roads?
they're
Well,
what do you call that? They're moving the goalpost. Okay, all you want's military? Well, what about public health care? And then you're like, no, 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 not that one. So you're like, you're over here, and they're like, okay, well, what about roads and electricity? And you're like, okay, well, maybe the roads and the electricity. And then they're like, well, what about what about public defenders? And then it's like, fuck you. I said only military, okay? That's what I
roads and
said.
electricity.
So
But I don't really think they should be publicly owned. It would be better off in the hands of a corporation. So
I still give the better
I
answer.
disagree. Government intervention is a threat to the economy.
Obviously, the answer is yes, but this contradicts the thing that I answered in the first question, which is that governments need to intervene. And that's because, and I already explained earlier, it's 100% the case, that the balance between how much they need to intervene and how much they're going to intervene if you allow them to intervene is very difficult to get. Like, you're either going to have them not intervening enough or you're going to have them intervening too much. And you can't have that.
Of course. Yes, it definitely is. 110%.
Right, right. I give
But
the
then
right
again, that
answer
first
again.
question, is it necessary? Of course, yeah, at times it's necessary. But it is a threat to the economy. And if it happens too much, it just outright destabilizes the system.
Of
So
course.
it is a threat, for sure.
That's the thing, because I'm arguing, like, because I'm putting agree on one and disagree on another that are testing you. The test was made to test for certain traits. In that case, there was one question where it was testing me for a trait and another question that was testing me for the same trait, but I gave opposite answers. But it's because, but do you see now why the end result of the test so much doesn't matter? And that it's really about the video itself and about the answers I give along the way, because there needs to be context to these kinds of questions. They're just too complicated of questions, at least some of them.
Those with a greater ability to pay should receive better health care. Of course, 110%. I don't
Yeah, why would you not have that?
see why they wouldn't. That's a no-brainer question.
I mean, it goes back to the same thing. It sucks that the poor are treated so badly, but again, a breach of that is a breach of the system in and of itself. And the system, the more you breach that, the less the system can function. It's just that simple.
If you're a loser and can't contribute, then you don't deserve it.
I was way more harsh back then. I feel like I was a little on the harsh side.
Logic people should be.
Now that I've moved out and I don't have money and it's tough and I see how fucked up it is and how fucked up they treat poor people and how little people help you on your own, I have a little bit more empathy on this question, but my stance is still the same because it's the right answer. The right answer is that those with the ability to pay should receive better health care, and that's just you have to have it like that.
Using here with that kind of question is capitalism it's a system that allows for corporations to be made, right? And the basis is this: you can contribute to one corporation and receive the benefits of the whole. Basically, you go
Right.
to one, they give you these bills, right? They give you this fiat, and then you use the fiat from contributing to one corporation, and you can use that to provide benefits from any other corporation. So basically, in the past, you simply had what you had. You were a farmer, and that was it, right? So everything else was kind of inefficient. You know, you had to trade people or do whatever to get whatever else. So this is a great system because you can literally specialize in one thing, which rises the ceiling of capability and potential.
Man, I look like that. I look like I aged 5 fucking years, man. I look like I've been through hell. Looking at me from left to right, man. I don't,
And
man.
yet you can reap rewards
Fuck.
of all the other things, which their ceilings have also been raised, which is a great thing about capitalism. But if you go back to the question, right, in the instance of healthcare, right, it's like when you contribute more to the whole, like to contribute more to a corporation, you're actually contributing more to the whole, right? The entire system works better if everyone is
I'm
contributing as
spurging right
much
now
as they can.
about this shit.
And the more you contribute, the better result you deserve to reap from the system. So and that's done through wealth, right? People who have more money can buy more things. So it makes no sense why healthcare would be an exception, right? You say, oh, it's people's
Yeah, right.
lives, but healthcare is
Well, it
just
does make sense, but you just can't do it.
as limited as anything else, right? And so it's not as if there's infinite doctors, there's infinite this, infinite that.
That's
The point
true.
is,
That's
things are
exactly
scarce,
it.
and because they're scarce, you deserve more or better versions of them.
I love that word, man. I love that word. Who could defeat that argument? I love that I use the word scarcity there. It really sends the message.
If you have more money, which is a metaphor for how much you have contributed to the system. So that's the reality. The more you contribute to the system, the more money you have. Now, this is kind of weird because the last question I said inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. Um, and my answer to that is because your bloodline did contribute to the economy in such a
Collectivist answer.
substantial way,
Very not
uh,
me.
like Jeff Bezos, for example, has contributed so much to the
Very
economy,
weird.
and he changes people's lives on a daily basis to such a degree because of the thing that he made that he does deserve the wealth he has. And so if he does have a kid, to me, that kid just being in that same bloodline does kind of
It makes me
justify
uneasy that I have to answer that.
having those same rewards. So in that case, even though the ability to pay doesn't always correlate to ability to contribute to the economy, it does in enough cases that it
Ooh, I love how I word that too, because it's true. Somebody could, in a lot of cases, have a better ability to pay for healthcare because their dad produced a lot for the economy. Not because you did, but because your dad did, and that's so anti-individualist. And I have to point out how much that bothers me. You know?
rewards. So in that case, even though the ability to pay doesn't always correlate to ability to contribute to the economy,
See, I point that out. I say it like that because deep down it bothers me that that's possible. The fact that cause and effect can be distorted in that way, it bothers me. Deep down it does. I know it does in this video. It's just how it
it
is.
does in enough cases that it warrants this kind of thing being true. And on top of that, you could argue it does in all cases because you are an extension of your father or and mother in that sense. So
Collectivist
you do
answer.
kind of deserve to reap the reward that they contributed to the economy as well. So those are my arguments for that. But I mean, you can see all this stuff in different ways. So, and in some things, I might even watch this back and disagree with certain things that I say.
See,
I may,
I'm like mad that I answered that. I thought that if I would watch it back, I would disagree. Like, man, you should have gave the individualist answer, but I'm not wrong. I gave the right answer. I would give that same answer now, but I have that same amount of frustration
going off
with
the top
it.
of my head with a lot of this stuff, but yeah. So that's that. Quality education is a right of all people.
Fuck
I don't
no.
agree.
I'm even more extreme on this stance now. I'm even more extreme. I don't even think like I think almost nobody should be educated. Like, they say 10% of the population. I think even that's high. I think only truly the top of society need any education at all.
And the current education system sucks.
There are literal geniuses on YouTube that really even they are just they have no vision. They don't understand history. They have no use for education. I don't even want to get too far into it, but the bottom line is that it's beyond it being a right for people. It's really beyond that.
Um, now, does quality education is it one of the most important things? Of course, yes, it is one of the most important things.
I don't agree. I think for almost everybody, education it just doesn't matter at all. Really, like it's just that simple.
But the problem is, you can't really measure how people.
As it stands right now, everyone is put through public education in Western societies, and which are basically daycares, and they traumatize you and they brainwash you, um, and they steal your time. And then after that, I think around 30% of the population attends college at least a little bit. I don't know if 30% graduate, but I'm pretty sure at least 30% attend. And there is no room at all for a society to have that many people going to college. Edward Dutton talked about this, about how there's really only enough room for the top 10% of people to be attending colleges. And that's if you want everyone who gets a degree to actually be able to use it. In my opinion, having a degree really doesn't mean shit. Like, it does not mean you're historically accurate. It does not mean you're politically accurate. It does not mean anything about class or any of that. Really, I think education should be reserved for the high class. I didn't say rich. I didn't say smart. I didn't say this or that. I didn't say, because again, there are a lot of very smart people that really they're not high class. It's just that simple.
People learn. You know, some people learn auditorily.
That's so I've gone way more extreme with this stance. Like, I think way less people should be educated than are, and most people don't get it, especially modern education. It's pointless anyway. It does not do anything.
Learn visually. Some people learn by doing, and you could argue even more abstract arguments.
Put it this way: if you wear shirts like this, you should never step foot in a school. Let's just put it that way. You shouldn't even be allowed to step foot in a school if you dress like a modern slave.
You could argue you could argue people learn from pain. People learn from trauma.
If you even own a T-shirt, school isn't for you.
What really is education? You know, like,
myself included.
Sure, everyone gets educated. Of course, it's important. But that, and just like healthcare is important. But that doesn't mean we should go jamming things down everyone's throats. Because when you jam things down everyone's throats, you get things like the modern education system, which is a perfect example of a watered down, lowest common denominator trash system where people
it's a daycare.
Really learn. It caters toward memorization, which isn't really that effective. So,
it's integral for like, the modern education system is just a daycare that's needed for society to run. That's about all it is, because the entire system needs somewhere to put the kids while the parents work. That's really what it is.
Generally speaking, I don't really view quality education the way that they have it as, you know, I don't believe everyone's entitled to it, you know. It doesn't, it seems like
it's funny how I don't have as advanced of a way of thinking about it as I do now, I think. Like, back then I thought about it I don't know how to say it.
Past like a certain point, definitely it should be optional earlier than it is today.
I'm still thinking about, like, the privatization side to it and stuff like that.
I don't know, should it be mandatory? Should it be a right up until a certain point? Maybe. You could argue up until like the 6th grade, it's useful, but past then it's completely not. But then again, if you dismantle school at the 7th and 8th grade, right, which is where I think it becomes worthless, not to mention 10 through 12 is complete waste of time, right? But you could argue 7th and 8th grade, middle school era. You could argue that by taking that away, negatively affects women. And I know there's some people who say, well, who cares? But there's other people. When you realize that women thrive in a social
the women will be fine, guys.
Environment,
the women will be fine.
Social value they receive around that time.
It's not an argument. This is definitely the question I have the most issue with my answer so far.
You know, it seems like that would negatively.
It really comes from an inferior world model.
But that's not really what the question is answering. The question is asking simply, quality education is a right of all people. Um, and I don't really think it is.
I don't even have an issue with the answer so much, and that I didn't say anything dumb. But it's really just that I was not. I just my world model was just inferior.
I don't really think it is. Especially in the modern era, we could do away with the whole system. You know, you could take a libertarian approach to quality education, and you could argue people might come out better. Um,
It's
so
as if everything I say isn't inherently false, but it's coming from a misguided point of view. So it doesn't matter where you look, because where you're looking from is wrong. It's almost as if everything you're saying is wrong. But you're really giving the best answers, the best descriptors of what you could from that point of view. But it's really just that, and it's that if your world model isn't proper, if you don't have the right world model, you can't give the best answer. And even if you try and you have the best nuance possible, you just can't.
so jamming education down everyone's throat because they need it, I don't think so. I feel like there's more effective ways. You could let them learn the things they want to learn, let them learn from pain. There's all kinds of other arguments here other than, making it a right, which really is code for let's cram it down everyone's throat. So
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
just
think
a very unimpressive answer, I gotta say.
the means of production should belong to the workers who use them. No. No, that's retarded. They took none of the risk, and they don't. Yeah, it doesn't. There's no justifying this. Uh,
Yeah, no,
if they
what?
own production, then go take the risk and start.
Of course not, yeah.
That's the end of it.
It's funny, I feel like I could even answer this question better now than back then, but the answer is still no.
United Nations should be abolished. What like is that like the whole like the EU like setup they got going on where it's like all those countries?
Of course you should abolish something like this.
Uh,
There would be drastic implications. I didn't even know what it was. I know what it is now. I probably figured out what it was.
develops friendly.
I don't think I understood what it was fully, but I mean,
That original logic, which is that by uniting people, you actually divide people.
Yeah.
Pretty seems like that is.
What did I answer?
But
Yeah, I answer mild agreement because I didn't truly know, but in the end, it's pretty obvious that, yeah.
it seems like pretty. Seems like that is what the conclusion would come to if I was more educated on all the attributes that come with the United Nations. So, military action by our nation is often necessary. Of course, 100%, 110%. Yep.
I think what that question's asking more is, do you accept your country attacking others, assailing others? Do you trust that? Or are you for that because it quote unquote might be necessary? But my answer would still be the same. Yeah, I'm for that.
Support regional unions such as.
If sieging an attack now would save our country
Exactly,
from
like,
being
is this what
nuked
I'm
later,
thinking
then
of now?
yeah.
Like, is this like the? Yeah, this is what I'm thinking of. Right. Where it's like a bunch of countries that are under like the same. No, I don't support this. I mean, this system is flawed. It causes debt crises. It just doesn't seem good, right? It seems inefficient. It seems like you could just have the same effect without all the rules. It seems like they just like rules. Is that it?
Just separate everyone. Fuck it.
This just doesn't seem good at all. So I don't agree. It's important to maintain our national sovereignty. Let's get a textbook on this word here. Yeah, supreme power or authority. I mean,
It is a weird word.
unfortunately, probably it is. Of course, I would prefer if we didn't have all these fucking rules and all these,
It's important to maintain our national sovereignty. I'm trying to think what I would answer to that today. I don't know.
all this shit.
I guess it
I mean,
is.
it is
But
clear.
then again, you have places like Burgerland, which America, like I'm American, but like I don't know how many fucks I even give about America or being American. You know what I'm saying? The place, everyone here looks sick.
Weird, like
I don't
like,
know.
the answers are in. Humanity needs masters. They need.
The answers are in. Well, that was pretty based.
It is important that we maintain our national sovereignty. So even though it isn't the libertarian answer, um, the wording here I
Well,
feel is
I
useful.
agree with it because, in the sense of a military, the answer is yes.
That's the thing nowadays. I can't figure out whether I'm a libertarian or a nationalist. At this point, I don't fucking know because I'm like a cookie cutter of both. Like I really
That's
love.
pretty funny. Basically, I go back and say the same thing as I was saying earlier. I'm giving as many pro-freedom individualist answers as someone could
Love certain ideologies from one and certain ideologies from the other.
before
The
it just
problem is, I would
breaks
love to be a
things.
full-blown libertarian, but it's very clear that it just can't work in modern society. So I'm forced to answer a lot of these questions as
That's the other thing I
nationalist
say,
answers.
modern society.
Uh,
That's an interesting
Even though
thing to say.
I don't want to. Seems like a lot of this shit just has to be this way because it's the only
Well,
thing
it
that
is
works.
true with surveillance technology, database technology, all these, and things like big tech, of course. It really is harder and harder to be to argue the individualist stance. It's getting harder because globalism is. I mean, even if you want to argue we aren't currently living in globalism, like we're so damn close. It really is a globalized communication network, meaning I could talk to anyone around the world pretty much if I wanted to over Facebook. I think they have 3 billion members. You know what I'm saying? So it's really the case that like it kind of is. It's not a I mean, I don't know. Is it globalism already? It's hard to say. Basically, the more globalist the world becomes, the harder it is to argue for individualist stances. You know,
So
it's not like we're in the 1920s or in the 1800s where I would be arguing damn near a pro-individualist stance on everything I possibly could.
sometimes you have to be pragmatic. A united world government would be beneficial to mankind. No, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be. It would be horrible.
Of course, it's horrible, and that's what we have nearly today, and it's horrible, so it's always bad. It's always bad. It could never be good.
It would be horrible. I could go on and on. I'm kind of already getting winded. I could go on and on about why this is bad, but yeah. It is more important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. Wrong. Wrong.
I love that one. I had a Trump moment. Wrong. I love that.
Wrong. Just be as strong. If everyone just optimized to be as strong as they could possibly
Good
be,
argument.
that's the best case scenario for
Good
humanity.
argument.
If everyone focused on themselves rather than trying to get all of us to work together, it would be the best, right? It's kind of
Very
like if you're in a
true.
relationship. The best thing you can possibly do for the other person is stop looking at them all the time, drooling over them,
Yeah.
doing things for them, buying them
I
shit,
like what I
trying to
did
make
right
them
there.
happy. The best thing you can do for them is work on yourself because then they reap the reward of that.
It's true. It's
And
true.
inversely, the best thing you can do for yourself is focus on them. It's like by focusing on them, you're getting all the pleasure. It's like the whole giving
Such
gifts
a
feels
true
better than
thing.
receiving
Such a
them.
true
It's
argument.
like it's when you're only focused on them, you're actually really just making it all about you.
It's still true
So you can't do
today.
that. You got to focus on yourself. That's the reality. Wars do not need to be justified to other countries.
This is an interesting one.
I kind of don't agree with this. Like, if I'm going to war with X and Y is like, yo, why are you going to war with X? I kind of agree. Like, you should justify it to them. Like, listen, they did this, this. And if they step in and say, well, what about this
I
and this and this? And
mean,
it's like,
this is such a weird question. This is such a weird question.
I kind of agree with, like, this whole, like, things need to be logical, right? But then some people would say, like, well, I don't need to justify. It kind of goes, then if you go back on the last thought, this is what I'm saying. I'm blowing my own mind talking. Half the time I'm talking, guys, you got to understand I'm blowing my own mind. It's like, then if you go back to the last thing I said, where if it's really all about preservation of the self, then there's no reason to justify anything. It's like, I don't need to justify myself to you. This is about me. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this because it benefits me. So that kind of mindset is weird. Like, but in the case of wars, it is different. I think it is different simply because
I can't even answer this
war
question today. I feel like I'm just praying. I'm just praying on whatever I answer here being correct, honestly.
isn't just going to benefit or destroy the countries in
The
the war.
problem is
It will
I've
also
seen a little bit more about what war is like, and I think avoiding it at all costs is probably better for everyone. I'm pretty much anti-war because like it almost never gives you what you want. It just kills people. Yeah, it really is something that should be avoided at all costs. So the idea that you don't need to justify it to the other country is a little weird. I think you need to. I don't know. I don't know.
To affect the countries out of the war. So it does need to be justified to countries outside of the war, in my opinion. Um, that's just me. I mean, honestly, I could go on agree here. I think I'm just gonna go agree because like I said, the line of logic I kind of disagree with where it's
I don't know. I think I would put disagree today. I don't know. But it's really just. I guess this is one I would put unsure. But if the unsure button didn't exist, I'd probably put disagree just because an attempt to justify the war to the other country would most likely even benefit your own people, I think.
like it's kind of like
But
you know,
by the
people
time you get to the point where there's a war, by the time you get to that point, there's no justifying it. There is no justifying it. So in that regard, you could say agree, you know?
like people try to say like, well, why are you doing it like that? Like I don't have to justify myself to you, kind of thing. The same thing for countries. You know, you don't have to justify. But when it comes to war itself, it does seem like it needs to be justified. Military spending is a waste of money. No, I strongly disagree. Probably the only good use of money, really. It's one of the only good uses.
Yeah,
Other things really have
yeah.
value, right? It's not that all dumping money into education and all these other things don't have value. It's just that they have such two things. One, they have a significantly less amount of value than military spending.
Yeah,
And
it's
two,
true.
generally speaking, the cost to benefit ratio of how you got the money slash how you're using the money doesn't pay out. AKA, my check is getting raped in exchange for really a low value system. Like a lot of these systems are half-assed. It's like free Medicare, free schooling,
Pretty
free this.
funny
These
that
things
someone
aren't
could
done
ever even
perfectly. They
answer
don't benefit me and my community, my
no to
family
this.
enough to justify the actual destruction it does to my well-being financially, which then has that destructs the contribution to the economy as a whole, right? Because it's distorting the amount of value I get by contributing to my singular corporation, which isn't good. So anyway, yeah, military spending is not a waste of money at all. Strongly disagree. International aid is a waste of money. I don't really agree with this either because if I want to help someone, then I can help them. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like I don't know.
that's true.
Now if it's forced, I don't know. It doesn't say anything about it being forced here. Is international aid forced? Am I ignorant? Is this a forced thing? I'm not sure. Um, voluntarily. It says voluntarily. So it doesn't seem to me like this is a waste of money, right? Now it doesn't follow my logic earlier, um, that said that everything should only be about helping the self, but sometimes, right, helping other people does help you. Like I said, in a relationship, that might not always play out, but let's put it this way: if your partner gains value, that actually you reap the reward from that a lot. So by sometimes helping out other people, you actually help out yourself a lot. So this isn't a waste of money by any means. It doesn't seem like that's a waste of money. Now, it's not quite investing into military, but it seems like it'd be the next best thing, right? It's like, well, I'm strong and I like you, so I want to make you strong. It seems like decent logic, right? My nation is great. Strongly agree. That's because I live in America. If I lived in
Everyone would say that about their own nation, though.
but
And my nation is, I don't know. It's pretty shit too, though. It's pretty shit.
It's the king. It's the best ever.
Oh shit! I can't believe I'm like gassing America in this.
So I don't really see.
That's
if I
so
lived in a
funny.
shithole, I wouldn't answer agree on that. But then again, this is what I'm trying to say.
I miss that water cup. I need to get that back.
That kind of logic, which is my country is great. This kind of logic it gets extreme. It compounds in value, so it scales in value. The more people who believe it. So if
I'm arguing the collectivist stance again. It's very weird. It's very weird how I can be pro this and pro that at the same time.
everyone believed this, it would actually be like the world would be insanely good. Because then
The world would be insanely good if everyone was a collectivist.
would be preserving
Really?
the self,
I can't believe I'm saying that.
actually leads to preservation of sort of everyone in a way.
I mean, it's completely impossible planet.
Or the destruction of the corrupt. But since only some people believe it, that kind of is a problem. But if everyone just looked after their own country the most, I believe that we would see an insanely great effect.
You notice how when collectivists talk or when somebody talks from a position of collectivism, how fucking dumb they sound? Like you just sound fucking dumb. Like that's just what it is. It's just
across the planet. So it's a good,
even here now, I sound fucking stupid.
it's good logic to, if you're gonna heed to some
Yeah.
kind of logic, it's decent logic to heed to. Research should be conducted on an international scale. I don't see why. I don't see why it should be. That seems corny as fuck. Uh, so no, I don't agree. Right?
Yeah, why would you need to make research on an international scale? I don't get that.
Why am I involving other people again? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Government should be accountable to the international community. Um, no, not at all. Like if if Taiwan,
It's another globalist question. Like, do I have to report to India about dumping some oil in a lake? I don't know.
it's like I don't agree with that. Like what? Why do we have to report to
Not their water.
anyone else? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem right. It seems wrong, right? You report to yourself over everyone else. You report to yourself, and that's it. You know. But damn, like guys, like these questions are so complicated. Like there's always another side to most of these.
Yeah.
You know, it really does seem that way. It's almost like I've argued both sides of this shit like 20 times already in this video. So, but government should be accountable for internet to the international community. No, I don't agree. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. No,
What a retarded question.
I don't agree with this.
This exposes me, by the way. I think this is a this question's a little dangerous to be answering, I think.
Like, violence is what gets you peace, right? If you optimize for peace, you get violence. If you optimize for violence, you get peace, right? If you have somebody who's really scary to tell everyone else, don't do anything or I'm gonna fucking hurt you, then nobody does anything. But if we're like, okay, guys, everyone get along, eventually someone's gonna be like, fuck this. Like, why am I getting along? I'm clearly the strongest here. You see what I'm saying? So, that's just how people are. People are just, it's all about power. So, no, violence is acceptable. But you have to know what comes with violence. You have to be ready and be prepared for the consequences that do come with violence. Um, so, the religious value.
That's how you know whether someone's a bitch or not if they answer violence isn't acceptable to that.
Wait, I want to make sure I put that right. Even
if you answer agree to that, yeah, you're a bitch.
should be spread as much as possible. I don't agree. Why is my it's like that's stupid. Why?
Yeah, it's stupid. It is stupid.
I don't agree. Why is my it's like that's stupid. Why is my way the best way? Like, what if they had something I don't? What if I was wrong all along? That's stupid. Like, the idea that my modern self knows everything and that like, my ideas right now in this video are the right ones and that they should be spread.
Yeah.
It's like
even then I
overcome that and
recognize
find something I think is better. That's stupid. Our nation.
That's why I don't like I was saying, like I was watching Vegan Games and like I just cannot stand this personality trait of him where like anybody that he doesn't agree with, he calls stupid. I am not like that at all. Like that doesn't just because you say something, you can even say something stupid, and that does not necessarily make you stupid. In fact, I think 95, I won't say that, just a huge amount of things that he says are stupid. But I don't think he, in and of himself, is stupid because he is somebody who, he values the truth. He values trying to find out what the truth is, I think. Whereas there are people who don't even try to question reality. There are really people that just try to go through this shit and don't question anything. And that is what someone being stupid was. So he'll be like reviewing some guy who like really is pretty smart, but then he'll sit here and say that that person's stupid because of the belief that that person has. When that's all it is a belief. You know what I'm saying?
Value should be spread as much as possible. Well, I don't like this wording because it should be spread as much as possible within the nation.
Right. But
I don't believe it should be spread to other nations. So this wording's kind of cucking me here. Our nation's value should be spread as much as possible.
It's true. The question is flawed. I mean, it is flawed. Yes, the nation's value should be spread as much as possible within your own nation. But stay out of my shit. If you're not on my team, stay out of my shit. Even if you're allies with me, don't bring your motherfucking people over here and tell my people what to think. And that's just how it is.
Clearly everyone in the nation should be on the same board of how great your nation is and what it offers. But I don't really know if values, is that the word? Like, what was the last word? Religious? Yeah, like the nation's values. Um, I don't know. Values are a little bit different, right? But then again, I guess kind of what the topic has been about thus far. I don't know. This one's fucked up because of the wording. I'm just gonna go ahead
Yeah.
and say yes, assuming that our nation's values should be spread as much as possible only within our own nation, not
Yeah.
to other nations. We should leave them alone, right? Unless we can benefit them, or they can benefit us, or unless harming them benefits us. You see, these are basic lines of logic, right? So it is very important to maintain law and order. Uh,
What a loaded question, huh?
is it?
I guess it is a test, but
Is it really? Unfortunately, this is yet again another case.
I
For
think
me, I'm
it's
gonna have to
no.
put yes here, just because it's very clear that it is important, right? Again, I wish it wasn't. Again, I wish I could have the libertarian utopia where, we didn't need law and order and everyone could just fucking do their own thing. But it's clearly not the case, and it's very clear that if you don't have law and order, you get complete destruction and chaos. So basically, if humanity wasn't what humanity is, then ideally I wouldn't want law and order. But that's not what the question is asking. It's simple: is it important? And of course, it is important in the modern era. So the general populace makes poor decisions.
I don't even know. I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I don't even know.
Of course, only the elite make good decisions. Only the best at everything make good decisions, right? The general.
This is the most obvious yes in the world.
The general of any hierarchy, the general is not. No, they're not the people who make good decisions. It's literally the peak of every hierarchy that makes.
I even knew this shit back then.
Significantly better decisions than the rest, and it's like the top 2%. It gets out of whack. Like it's like completely on a different level than the bottom. So, or the general, the mid. Like mid is it, let me just explain something to you guys. On a hierarchy from 0 to 100, 50% is significantly closer to 100% than they are to the top 2%. And it's even worse than that. Like literally the top 15% and below, like let me just put it this way. To be in the top 15%, you're actually closer to the bottom guy than you are the top 2%.
Yeah.
So people think like the general.
It's way higher than that, actually.
No, it's a terrible thing. Being in the middle is like basically being at the bottom. Unless you're the top at anything, you're basically at the bottom. So yes, they make terrible decisions. Physician-assisted suicide should be legal. Sure. That's a
very based answer. I don't know if I'd agree with that today, but hey, I'm very based for answering that.
Nationalist approach is preserve the community.
Yeah. It's a very it's an answer that'll make a lot of people seethe. It'll make a lot of people seethe
and stuff like that. They can see the light.
That's pretty funny.
But really, I mean, once you've exhausted all the options,
it's the black pill. It's a very black pilled stance. It is. It's very black pilled. The kinds of people who answer no to this, they really are just like missing a perspective of reality that's really important to see. I don't know what to say that. And it is just an individualist question. As an individual, if somebody wants to kill themselves, they should be allowed to. I think that's what it is. It's an individualist answer that I give, and a lot of people who are collectivists would not answer yes to this.
To just let it.
That's what it really is.
So, the sacrifice of some civil liberties.
It's a very based individualist take right there. I'll just say that. Let that.
Interesting. I think I'm gonna take the libertarian answer here and answer no, because civil liberties.
This is just a complete bullshit. Like you should answer no to this.
These kinds of things lead to governmental control as much
civil
as they
liberties
to other countries fucking you up. It can also lead to the power of the government fucking you up.
Make it required.
So I don't really believe terrorism is enough of an excuse.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Listen, government, you don't need to be controlling me at all.
We don't need to kill anyone, man.
I believe in insane amounts of military spending. If you can't protect me,
because that's what the prison system basically is, honestly.
Through your insane budget of military spending, then you fucking suck. But I'm not gonna sacrifice civil liberties, like all this bullshit.
Yeah, what the fuck is with that? We need to sacrifice civil liberties? I already pay you my public tax for you to make a military to protect me from these people. And you're going to sit here and tell me then I need to lift my balls and spread my ass to get on a plane? Fuck you. Take my tax money and fuck off.
At the airports nowadays and all this it's just it gets to a point where civil liberties turn into something where it just turns into where they just do it because they like to control you. They have a fetish. It's a fetish. They
Yeah,
love
it is.
They just
It
like
really
controlling
is.
people.
I'm
These
spot
people
on
who
with that.
are in government are obsessed with power.
They're
to a point where
psychopaths.
It becomes a fetish, and that's what it turns.
That's another thing is a lot of people, almost everybody who's right wing, does not really have a history in studying psychology. Now I get it. Psychology is a very new science. It's in a large way a pseudoscience. But the reality is they don't even try to understand the human brain very much. They really think of the brain from a collectivist perspective 24/7. And so, like what I say here,
Are in government are obsessed with.
when I talk about how people in government are obsessed with power, like I'm coming at it basically saying, look, the kinds of people who end up in power are likely to be psychopathic. They're not likely to be narcissistic or Machiavellian, but they really are likely to be psychopathic at the top. Well, actually, I will disagree. All three of those can help you, but it seems like the kinds of people who end up in the top of government really do tend to be psychopathic. Not so much other things. I think all three of those can be useful in climbing ladders, so to speak, or in the sense of getting places, right? They're all dark triad for that reason. But the point is that the kinds of people who end up in power aren't necessarily the kinds of people who are really you want in charge of civil liberties. You know what I'm saying? Like a good person to ask like what your civil liberty should be is like like a farmer. Go ask like an average person like what like what kind of freedoms they want. Even though I do in the last couple questions I was saying the average person's opinion on everything sucks. That is true. But when it comes to like people in power, talking about what people who aren't in power, like like what they should be doing, there really is a disconnect there. There really is a disconnect there. Now, I'm not saying I have a problem with hierarchies or masters and slaves or anything like that. I'm just saying if we're going to take it from the libertarian answer, or not even just from the libertarian answer, but if we're going to take it from the idea that somebody in power knows where to draw the line on civil liberties, it's just not the kind of psychological profile who's able to do that. That's really what I'm trying to say.
Power to a point where it becomes a fetish, and that's what it turns into. Civil liberties are now.
They're obsessed with power. First, they want you, again, to now get on the flight with an ID. It used to be you could just give them a fake name. In the 90s, you could get on a flight with the fake name, literally. Yeah, I'm Bob Ross. Okay, here's your ticket. And your ticket would say Bob Ross. You did not have to even give an ID to get a plane ticket. Suddenly, then it's you need an ID, and then you need some other thing, and now you need to go through a metal detector, and they 3D lens every fucking possession you have. And then they can go through your computer, they can stop you in line, they can do anything to you just to get on a plane. They literally will never stop with that. Next year there will be another thing you need to do to get on the plane, and then in 10 years you'll need to scan the QR code and the digital ID. It will never end, and that's my point I'm trying to make. Is that the reason it will never end is because the kinds of fucking people who are in charge are really not psychologically fit to make that decision of what civil liberties are necessary to give away in exchange to protect us from terrorism. They really cannot answer that question. Like, meaning, like, they just aren't the type of people who can answer that question properly. And I feel like a lot of people on the right could not answer that because they just don't study psychology at all. They don't study it at all.
Sacrificed. But then it turns into it's like, no, now they're just pulling bullshit just to control you. So
that's what it is. That's what it is. They're pulling bullshit just to control you.
Shit like this is where I draw the line, where it's like, they're just doing this shit to control me.
100%.
Not because it's
100%.
Terrorism, yeah, it might be.
Like, let's even, I'm not going to talk about 9/11 or anything that because it's YouTube, but the point is like, do you really think that, whether you believe 9/11, this or that, the point is like, do you really think that the government did not utilize 9/11 to intentionally take the rights of the average citizen away when it comes to boarding flights? Even if it was an accident, or whether the conspiracy stuff is true or whatever, I'm not necessarily saying any of that. I'm saying they saw an opportunity and they jumped on it because that's the kinds of people that they are.
reasonable
And
threat.
the kinds of people that the masses are just people who fucking take it. They take it all day, and they never do shit about it.
At times, but in the modern era, I mean, this isn't tribal days where it was like,
So it's a match made in heaven. This place, it really is. Everyone here deserves what they've got.
you can't go over to that river because the other tribe will see you and then they'll know where we're at. Or some bullshit. Like at this point, nah, this is the kind of stuff that leads to governments fucking you over more than they
Maybe if
actually.
it was a different time in history, I would take terrorism more seriously. But the problem is in this time period, terrorism every time, in every instance, especially when used in the United States, is all just used as a way to control you. Well, we need you to give up this right because of the potential for terrorism. That's all it ever is. It's all just a control mechanism. I don't validate any claims of terrorism, whether global or domestic. I don't value it, I don't validate it, and I don't care. I think you're just trying to control me and you can fuck off.
Yep.
That's what I think.
So,
I want all of my rights that you want to take from me because of terrorism. It's just that simple. You want to take something from me, you need a much better case than that word. You need a much better case.
the terrorist is your own government at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, that's what it turns into. That's what it turns into. It turns into that.
Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. No, it's not.
Of course, it's not, but they're not going to not use it because it's a military asset. So, of course, while it's not necessary, and AI isn't necessary, dude, nothing about even systems or civilization is quote unquote necessary. We could be living in the caves. We wouldn't even need fire or the wheel. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be pro civilization, you're going to root for all this shit, of course you're going to see this.
It's terrible.
You're going to, why would they not use that?
It's immoral as fuck, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it
They can
is
all
a
fuck
breach.
themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
The very existence of the state is a threat to our liberty.
Of course.
Of course it is.
That's the
that's a
same
blank
answer.
statement.
It's the same answer. Of course it
I mean,
is.
that's the thing. A lot of libertarian statements are just going to be correct by design.
Yeah, just by design, 100%, you could never make this not true.
You know what I'm saying? They're just right. By design, they're just correct.
This isn't even a question. This really, really is not even a question.
Now, obviously, at the same
It's as simple as 1 + 1 = 2.
time, you need a state because by not having a state, it's a threat to your, everything else. But I mean,
At least I say that.
on liberty. Like, let me see what they say. Sometimes, by the way, I just like definitions to words. I just really like them.
Yeah, I do. I do like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me, it is true, right? It is true.
It's just, yeah.
Regardless of political opinions, it is important to side with your country. I agree with this. It does take the individualism out of it a bit, but like I said, this kind of logic it really compounds at the point when
Another collectivist answer.
everyone agrees with it. So
Another
it's like,
nationalist
well,
answer.
fuck, I really fucking hate this war, but this war is it's important.
What are you going to benefit by going into downtown Moscow with a sign and saying, "Stop it, Putin! Stop it!" What are you going to benefit doing that? If you were Russian, wouldn't you be better off just putting all your stake in that?
Like, what are you gonna do? Say, well, this is stupid, and then your country burns, so you die too. It seems like at the end of the day, preserving your own country it's more important
Stop the war! Like,
than
come on, man. Like, come on.
than a lot of things. So like the political opinion better be pretty fucking important if you're gonna hate your own country for it.
Yeah.
And most people will hate their own country for what? Because we say there's only two genders, and it's like, well, fuck, now I hate my country. It's like, wow, well, you're clearly not a team player. Like, really, honestly, you don't deserve to be here. That's the reality. I mean, those people don't deserve anything.
It's the same thing on the right, though.
The kinds of things people will backstab their own country for is insane. So maybe in some political opinion, like it better be a damn good political opinion. But it is just it's important to side with your country. So all authority should be questioned. I mean, this is one of those obvious yes and no questions. Like in one side, yeah, authority's authority because
That's pretty
they're an
funny,
authority,
actually,
you shouldn't be
that
questioning
I
them.
said that.
Like that's like the essence of what authority's all about. Like they're above me, so I just need to like assume they know something I don't. But at the same time, we know humans suck, and we know that they suck, and a lot of times someone can be an authority figure in this life in this life, and we're talking pragmatically, in this life, how many authority figures have you come across that you're smarter than, that they know nothing? It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm listening
When
to
I
this
say it
guy.
like that, it makes me want to snap way more than I did. When I say it like that, myself, I'm gonna get myself going if I keep talking like
Oh
that.
yeah, they
Don't
should
even
be
talk like
questioned in
that.
this life. Now, the
Fuck.
abstract concept of authority, no, really, authority, ideally, authority would only be set up in an instance where the
Never met a
subordinates
smart teacher. Never met a smart politician. Never met a smart person.
are
Fuck
actually
this
could never
place.
actually
Fuck
provide
these
any type of
people.
insight to the authority to make a proper decision.
And fuck authority.
Therefore,
Fuck you just for having some kind of power and thinking you can do something to me. Fuck you.
the authority would never need to be questioned. But we know reality isn't that perfect. So authority does need to be questioned in this life, which is another thing the libertarians have correct. A hierarchical state is the best. Yes, it is.
Of course. Natural.
Never ever, like, you guys gotta understand, you can fuck with anything you want, but the second you fuck with dominance hierarchy or hierarchies, and you fuck with the system of hierarchies, you're doomed. You need a hierarchy. You need a hierarchy, and it needs to work, and it needs to reward the top and punish the bottom, and that's just how it needs to be. And if you fuck with the hierarchy, like, it's just the one thing you can't fuck with. Natural
Yeah,
selection has made it that way. It just made us that way, and
it's
people want to
true.
fuck with it nowadays. They want to fuck with the hierarchy too much in the modern era, and it's gonna get us killed. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even if it is wrong. No, I just said the bottom doesn't know anything, right? So no, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Now the problem is people are getting into government who also know nothing. So, but at the same
Yeah.
time, really, the majority opinion, right? The
Fuck the
bottom
majority
80% of people
opinion.
could think something's right, and the top 2% could know for a fact that's wrong, implement it, and the top 80%, the bottom 80%'s lives would be saved, and they still wouldn't be grateful because people are so stupid. They're just so dumb. So, no, the majority opinion is not, it's not a good opinion. It's not good.
It's always a bad
And
opinion,
if
yeah.
it's wrong, it's especially not good if it's wrong. Like, what is
Yeah.
more important than right or wrong? Like, are you serious? So no, stronger the leadership, the better. Yeah, it seems to be the case, right? I mean, right? Isn't strong leaders really important? I think part of this though is people admitting that not everyone can be a leader. It's important
Yeah.
for people to step up and say, well, maybe I'm not
Trying
the
to
best
figure
at
out who would
leading,
answer no to
and
this.
respecting a leader as a unique force. A lot of people don't always give people like to think, well, anyone can be a leader. It's like, no, not really, not really. Like, leaders are unique. So I can be a leader at something, and at other things I would never want to take the wheel. So yeah, obviously the stronger the leadership, the better, right? Democracy is more than a decision-making process. This is honestly the first question that. No, I don't think it is.
Just fuck it all. I don't care about democracy.
I don't know. This is one I just don't know, right? This is one I might put neutral just because I don't know. Like, I know democracy is like, people always try to defend it. It doesn't seem. I don't know. I genuinely can't answer this one. I don't know. So this is like
The
an
wording's
instance where
ridiculous.
I'm
Who
going to
cares? It's a
neglect the
stupid
result of
question.
the
Just
quiz
put no.
in exchange for just. I'm just gonna have to sacrifice that one.
That's like a true leftist question right there. Like, oh, it's more than what. It's like what do you even say about that question? It's more than a game.
Environmental regulation.
Oh, it's like saying it's not just a game, bro. It's not just a game. Like, what do you mean it's not just a game? That's all it ever was. You may treat it like it's not, but that's all it ever was. Same thing. Democracy was just a decision-making process, and it's a shitty one anyway. But that's for like leftists who are like, it's so important. You don't even understand. Like, it's important to the soul too. Like, it's so important.
Regulations are essential. I mean, not really. I mean, nobody really knows the effect we're making on the environment is even that big. People can say all day long that humans are destroying the
Well,
environment.
yeah,
But
it's
there's really
not.
no.
They're not essential, no.
You can't really say it's big enough or that it's really.
This
it really
question really pisses me off because I'm one of these people who thinks that the environment shit is way, way overblown. Like, really, really, I think it's overblown by a lot. I think what we're told about how badly we're damaging the environment and how much we're damaging the environment is like most likely 50 times less than what people are saying. Like, I think the environment is fucking fine. I think we could really put more effort into fucking up the environment by, again, 50 times over before we start seeing issues. Seriously. I think it's one of the most overblown topics out there. So when I get asked this, there's especially this distaste I have for this question, because I absolutely hate regulations. For something to be regulated, it ought to be important. And the problem is, it's not that environmental shit isn't important. It's that it's so fucking lied about and lobbied about that I just don't care. I just don't care. I think we're fine. It's
Matters in the
really
end.
that simple.
Like the George, I think his name's George
People are
Carlin.
going around throwing paint on paintings and or what is it, taping themselves to monuments and shit as a way of protesting the environment. I'm thinking, what are you doing? Are you crazy?
Something, is that his name? George Carlin. I'm gonna guess it's George Carlin. Yeah, this guy. People were like, well, what would happen if humanity went extinct? And he said it would just be the Earth plus plastic,
Yeah.
something like that. It's a joke. You know, people always freak out about plastic, like, oh, it's gonna take forever. It's like, yeah, it would just be a planet with no humans and a bunch of plastic, whatever. Like, it would just, things would just keep going on. They play so much. This environmental shit is just nobody can measure whether it's truly that big of a deal or not. So to me,
That's what I'm
I don't view
saying
it as
too.
essential. So
I could tell I'm starting to get tired in this
a
one.
world, a better world would come from automation, science, and technology. Of course, might not be a better world for humans, but well, yeah.
A better world, of course. I'm pro
Children should be
singularity.
educated in religious
None
and
of my
spiritual
views
values.
make sense. I'm arguing collectivist, individualist, nationalist. I argue pro technology, anti technology. I'm just a clusterfuck of views.
Values. Yes, for the simple reason that
But that's a real sign that someone can think for themselves when they can actually pick pieces from each view and say what they think is right or wrong. Like I heard vegan gains, I'm like, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. It's just what I just don't agree with anything that he's saying. But then he's pro gun, and I thought, wow, he really can think for himself. You know what I'm saying? Because for somebody who's that leftist to be pro gun being pro gun is one of the most right wing things you can be. In fact, if you look at gun ownership stats, nothing in America um, really, except maybe a few other things, but it's one of the top. That's what the chart said, nothing. But let's just be honest. Like, it's one of the top. We'll put in the top five. One of the top five things that separate a Democrat and a Republican in the States is whether they're pro gun or not. And this chart was saying it's the number one thing. For somebody to be that left, everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is left, and then he says a pro gun stance, even if it was for like a, oh well, we need the blacks to have more guns, and we need, even if his reasoning was from some ridiculous premise, the fact that he was pro gun tells me he thinks for himself. It's just that simple. And I would never go around saying he's dumb because of the things that he says, because from what I see is somebody who has the capacity to think.
tradition
You're not stupid because you have a stupid belief. It's that simple.
is, aka the way things have been for a long time. The one thing about
Somebody who's dumb is just somebody who doesn't question shit. They don't have their own views. They really export their thinking to the collective. You know what I'm saying?
tradition that people always overlook is simply that it has worked before, and something needs to be mentioned about the fact that it worked before. I understand that change has
Yeah.
occurred. I understand that things always change, but the fact that something has been proven to work.
Funny I talk about this answer from, again, like a sort of an inferior world model. Like I can't really explain why it's important, whereas I feel like I could explain that today.
You should be reluctant to change something that's been proven to work for especially the longer periods of time that it has worked. The traditional values really they have a tremendous amount of value just because they have worked before. So yeah, that's the one thing I would say. So they should be educated in them, 100%. Traditions are of no value on their own. Well, no, I just explained how they're value on their own. Traditions are valuable because they've been proven to work already, right? So it's
Right.
like something that has already existed. Like it's kind of like data to work with. Like you kind of get thrown into this world without knowing anything. So like traditions are like a map of things that already. Hey guys, by the way, we've been doing this for hundreds of years and it works. So that's why they do have
That's a
value.
cool
on
way
their
of saying it. It's about probably as good as I could have answered it from the very flawed world model that I had at the time,
own. Should play
which is kind of a weird thing to say, but
a role in government.
it's like, for as shit as I was, I'm impressed.
I don't see why it shouldn't. But then again, religion's fucking stupid.
Not saying I was even that shit, but compared to now, I've improved. May not look it though.
I don't know. I don't Again, religion's one of those things that's proven to have value, even though it's completely retarded. So, to me, I'm just thinking more in the Machiavellian sense. What really has the most value here? Is it more valuable to keep it out, or is it more valuable to?
I'm surprised I'm torn on this. It's such an obvious yes. Of course, religion should play a role, but that again, that doesn't mean I don't have infinite problems with religion.
People at bay, so to incorporate religious values into the rules will also keep people at bay, which will lead to a better society.
That's really my grand view on religion, is that I'm not religious. I don't believe any of that shit, but I recognize it as extremely important for society, and I respect anybody who is religious.
But religion as a whole, I hate so much that I might just vote.
And in that way, you could basically call me religious, because I do side with the religious folk.
On this, just because I would be fucking annoyed if I could somehow prove that their religious argument was false and that they still went ahead and implemented it.
People don't like hearing that, though. They're like, oh, well, you're just a fraud. You're just, what do you call that? Feels like somebody who's like trying to be in a group that they're not. It may or whatever. It may or may not be that, but that's just what it is.
Implemented it.
I just like ideas that work. And so I like religion.
Oh my god, these are so complex,
But all the other bullshit, once people start opening their mouths about it, I really cannot stand it.
Isn't even
really
about
can't.
the result I get as much as it is about just the food for thought on a lot of these questions. So we're about an hour in now, guys. We're an hour in. So if anyone made it this far, I hope you've at least been enjoying all the
I made it this far.
Here.
I made it this far. Me.
But I'm just going to go ahead and slightly disagree with this.
That's funny. Wait, I disagree. Wait, that's the first time. That's pretty funny. What the fuck? Yeah, wow, yeah. I don't know what to say about that.
Churches should be taxed the same way other institutions are taxed.
I think I'm getting a little tired in this video, in that one, so it's... Obviously not. I mean... like, nothing should be getting taxed. Nobody should be getting taxed at all, unless we're at war. At all. I mean, I should get paid with 0 taxes. None. 0.
Argument is no.
So that's my answer.
Because it betters the community and all that. It's like a part of community. It's not really an institution, right?
The only time anyone should be paying any tax is when we're at war, to fund the war. If we're losing, raise the tax until we win. Take my whole check until we win, and then you pay it back with the winnings. If we lose, I'm fucked anyway, and you're not my master anymore.
I'm just gonna say no.
So yeah,
I don't really try to fulfill the same needs as the institutions do. It seems to me that obviously there's a heavy decline on the churches. But they don't really. Churches don't really contribute to the whole. Like when I gave that economy, money, capitalist analogy earlier, they don't really contribute to the whole as much as they try to contribute to the well-being of the community. So I don't really think they should be taxed.
Right. I give sort of the more like generic answer.
Climate change is currently one of the greatest threats to our way of life. No. I mean, honestly, climate change could just be completely bullshit.
That's what I'm
saying.
saying.
The data we've gathered now is even that reliable and stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying. Here's the thing. Here's what I've noticed with COVID. I'm just gonna go on a little rant.
Oh my god! Don't go on this.
Humans are so fear-based, particularly when it comes to their own lives.
Yeah.
If you can somehow convince a human that their life is at stake, they're gonna start thinking irrationally, and they'll just blindly agree with you. So like, the problem is humans fear death too much, and I say that's a defect in this case simply because if you can take the irrationality out of fearing death, a lot of this bullshit wouldn't exist. Like COVID wouldn't be that scary if you remove the fear. COVID is like it's like a flu. It's really not even that deadly. People wouldn't even wear masks if people really, honestly, took the fear out of COVID. It's like if you remove that fear, it's literally just a flu.
Biggest nothing burger in history.
It's the same thing with climate change. If you remove that fear of death, like if you just remove the fear of death completely, climate change really is that what we should even be fucking thinking about? How about keeping a self-sustaining economy? How about caring for the betterment of the people? I'm not saying that your environment doesn't matter because if your environment is destroyed, you could risk the survival of the species. But it's like when you get overly worried about survival, it's like if all you're thinking about is like, holy fuck,
basically, I'm saying what I was saying earlier in a worse way, which is that the climate shit is way overblown, like way overblown.
Boss is gonna kill me.
So
it's important. that we work as a united world to combat climate change. No.
No, of course. And even then, even if climate change was 50x in the other direction, I would still not be pro globalism just to save the fucking planet.
Strongly disagree. Society was better many years ago than it is now. Of course, society. When I think of society, I think of well, I mean, this is such a catch-22 question, right? Because obviously now is the best time ever to live, but in some sense, um,
Yeah, it's weird. Society. What are you talking about? Are you talking about healthcare? Are you talking about culture?
society, like it's that word society.
Freedom?
It depends on how you think of society, because let's get a little bit. I mean,
Talking
it's gonna
about
give me
living conditions? Yeah, I almost need to pull up a definition to even answer this question because it's just what are you really referring to?
a more or less ordered community.
I don't even know what I'm going to answer in this. It's just you can't answer this
I don't
question.
really agree that it's better now. But it is better now, but it's not better now. This is a retarded question.
That's what I'm saying. It's a dumbass question. What the fuck?
Because depression's all-time high. People are miserable. Life has no meaning. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. So life is ass now, but at the same time, life is better now. It's like the best it's ever been.
How much of that is just
I'm gonna
being
say no,
gaslit, though? How
because
much of that is just being
really I wouldn't
you
want to
just
live
wanted
in
to
a
believe
country,
that,
so that's kind of hypocritical for me to say.
and it's just a
In the
fact that
answer, I
it's
wouldn't actually want to go there, even though it probably was better because you weren't thinking about meaning all the time and all this other shit. But I don't know. Like I said, this is a stupid ass question.
it's
I'm
just
gonna
a
put
dumb
no because
question. It's
I
just
wouldn't
who?
want to live in. Ideally, I'd want to live in the future. So, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't really agree with that. It's more important that we maintain the traditions of our past. It is important that we maintain them. Uh, yeah, I mean it is pretty important because, as I said, it's proof that it's like the shit worked, right? I don't agree with this notion that things are so different now.
Yeah.
How many fucking things can be that different? Really, guys, how many
Yeah.
things can be that different
It's true.
that you're like, oh yeah, let's get rid of all the stuff and change the whole system?
This time is
I
different.
think it's
No,
important
it
to
ain't.
maintain the traditions of the past. Because as I said, traditions are proof that of things that already have worked. And I agree things change, and I agree on
I'm talking again from a very inferior world model. Like
but I
really,
don't agree that traditions
I can't even explain why traditions are good the way I could
need to be
today.
don't even consider them at all. Like let's go ahead and pretend like things are so different
I'm just saying it because they worked, but I can't explain why. I can't
that
explain the good
we
parts
shouldn't
about
consider
them.
traditions at all. It is important that we think in the long term, beyond our lifespans. Yeah, I mean honestly, it is right. Reason is more important than maintaining our culture. Yes, to me it is. Culture is such a corny
A
thing.
lot of people on
Culture
the
is like,
right would not like this one. They would not like me answering yes to this one.
oh, the way our people like to do things. But it's like, to me, why isn't everyone's way of doing things just reason? Why isn't reason the culture? I don't know. It seems like my culture is cause and effect, guys.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, your culture is
the individualist answer.
the trannies, but my culture is cause and effect. So, you know, that's the thing. My culture is reason. So, I don't know. This is corny. It's when culture becomes irrational that I can't respect it, right? But I can respect culture like in and of itself, but reason is more important.
You can't put a word like reason in front of my face and then expect me to say culture is more important. Come on.
Drugs
They don't even.
be legalized or decriminalized.
You got to know who you're talking to.
Obviously, I'd prefer this outcome, but it clearly can't exist, right? If you make them legal, people are just going to do it and then kill themselves. So obviously,
There's another thing. Like this is always like the quintessential libertarian question. Traditionalists will be like, "Well, do you really care about your community if you make drugs legal?" And it's like,
need to be illegal because people can't fucking handle the freedom.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, they should be.
It's a massive dichotomy. The gene mean preservation versus self-preservation. It's a crazy mind fuck. You never know which mode to be in. Yeah.
People need to have some kind of fear, right, of doing it. Otherwise, they're just going to do it in mass, and then your community will just eat itself from the inside out. And the reason for that is if people were more capable, then it'd be fine to make it legal. But since they've proven to be incapable, we can't do that. Same-sex marriage should be legal.
Of course not.
I don't really agree with this. But then again, I do agree with it because I think people should be able to do what they want. But
The libertarian side.
here's the deal. I'm gonna put yes on it is legal. It should be legal. The problem is when it
Damn,
becomes
what a
normalized.
degenerate answer to give. What a degenerate answer to give.
And does making something legal make it normalized? I probably could make a whole separate video on
Pretty
this
based
degeneracy
though.
thing I've
I
been thinking
mean,
about. But the problem with the
it's not based, but it's still just it's based in the sense that I'm sticking with my it's a very individualist answer again. People should do what they want, you know.
degeneracy is not so much that it's bad, but it's when it gets normalized. It's when it's bad. It's fine to be fucked up and say, well, this I'm a deviant in this thing. I'm not. This
Yeah.
isn't normal. I wouldn't recommend this to people. It's fine to be fucked up if you admit that you're fucked up. It's not fine to be fucked up and cram it down everyone's throats. So it's fine that it's legal. It's more that um,
Mm.
it being legal is going to make people go gay more and think that that's normal, which leads to a lot of mental issues, right? Like,
I'm really putting too much faith in humanity with this answer. I really am. Like,
the
eh.
thing is being fucked up, you have to know precisely how fucked up you are. If I am fucking, let's say I'm gay, I need to know, like, what is that doing to my brain? Like, what effects is that having? Like, is that normal? What experiences am I going to miss out on? You know, how is this
I don't like my answer here at all. I don't like it at all.
negatively affecting every other component of my life?
I say just
And
ban the shit now.
And
Fuck
if I
it.
know that, then fine, I should be allowed to be gay. But if I don't know that, then it runs into problems of people saying, "Yeah, just go be gay. Your life will be fine." And then people are
So that's one way I've gotten more based over the years, I guess, is this answer.
just going gay in mass, and it's like ruining lives. And then they kill themselves. They're like, "Whoa, why did he kill himself?" It's like, "Well, you fucking told this guy
But then again, it does come from a very like I get the place that I'm coming from, but
to walk
nah.
into this thing like it was normal, and it's not normal." And he had all these other negative repercussions because of it.
I can't think of
So
anything more disturbing really than same-sex marriage. It's a weird concept. What is it? It's like putting mustard on ice cream. It doesn't go. It doesn't go well.
it's fine to be legal, but this is again the typical nationalist answer would say no, it can't be legal because people can't handle that freedom. And the libertarian answer would be, you know, give it to them because they can handle it. Me,
That's what I'm saying though. Like you can't let the people have an inch. They'll take a mile and they'll ruin everything.
yeah, I'm gonna answer the libertarian one on this, but yeah, I'm getting real winded here. I'm getting hungry and just like I'm fucking using every ounce of energy left in me today, guys. No cultures are superior to others. No, this is retarded. This is stupid. Of course, there are cultures that are superior to others.
Give a funny answer.
Violent cultures, like you see in Middle Eastern cultures, violent cultures, like you see in black cultures, these aren't idealized. These aren't like great things, you know, to be
Right.
violent all the time, right? So
There are objective superiorities with certain cultures, absolutely.
and like, you know, like
November 2020, so 2.5 years ago.
I don't know, like obviously, like certain things are better than others, and cultures are just certain things on a mass scale. So to say like, oh well, because it's on a mass scale, it's like, oh, that's their way of doing things. It's okay. It's okay. There's no way it can have flaws. It can't be better or worse than something else. That is completely fucking stupid. So you're basically saying, oh, I can't discriminate. Which, by the way, guys, the word discriminate,
Damn, 8144.
right? Discriminate. Recognize a distinction.
Fuck,
That's
that
all it
was a
is.
long time
Discrimination is
ago.
just saying, oh, this is different from that. People make, oh, you're discriminating me. You're fucking discriminating me. It's like, yeah, you are different from other people. So I'm going to point out the ways that you're different from other people. So yeah, cultures are superior to others. No, I don't agree with that. Sex outside of marriage is immoral. It's not immoral, but it's generally not
Yeah,
good
14.
to normalize this. It's the same thing with the gay thing. It's fine, but just don't normalize it. Don't idealize it. Tell people who do it that it's bad and that they shouldn't. But
Is it immoral?
it's fine. It's not immoral, but it's generally not good to normalize this. It's the same.
My answer, I'm treating it like it's a trivial thing. It's not as trivial as I'm making it out to be. It absolutely destroys society. So that's the thing. I'm being pro-freedom, individualist on this same-sex marriage and the sex out of marriage shit. All this like marriage shit, all this like traditional shit, like the only reason you can have a civilization is because of this shit, and I'm treating it like it's just some, well, you know, look, you don't have to like force people. We can trust people to do it even when they're not forced, right? No. You get today where nobody's married, there's people who are just complete degeneracy.
Thing with the gay thing. It's fine, but just don't normalize it. Don't idealize it. Tell people who do it that it's bad.
I mean, technically, anything's fine. You could just let things go. But if you're optimizing for a good society, then no, it's not fine.
and that
I'm very surprised I gave these answers, really. These
But-
are probably the most wrong answers I've given.
but they're okay if they do it. It's not like
In the sense that they really are just wrong.
fucking like holy fuck, like you're a terrible person. It's just that
All the other answers that I criticized. Well, this one not. I'm honest. Okay, let me backtrack this. Hold on, sorry. The sex outside of marriage thing, I don't care about as much. The gay marriage thing, I care about a lot more. The fact that I answered that, I think these are way two different concepts. As degenerate as this might be, I don't think it's society ruining degeneracy. But then again, I don't know. It kind of is. Like, you have people today that are like rampantly promiscuous. So, fuck, man, it's not as degenerate as the same-sex marriage. Let's just say that. Well, it's not as degenerate. And yeah, I think it's just absolutely detrimental to society to allow sex outside of marriage and to allow same-sex marriage. It is just, it's completely destructive. It's not some trivial thing like I was making it out to be. And I get it. Like, I'm always trying to maximize freedom. I come from a good place. But really, it's just the case that in this 2.5 years, I've really now seen that you just cannot allow it. You just can't.
the thing. It's like it's not that you're bad as an individual. It's just bad if we make this okay on a mass scale. You see, because it leads to the downfall of society.
Right. I'm always catering to the ways in which people are mentally sick, mentally ill. I'm always catering to the ways in which people are different. I'm a panderer. I'm okay if you're sad. I'm okay if you're angry. I'm okay if you are messed up. It's just that I'm trying to take as much of letting people be who they are and also balance that with a civilization that works. And I think at this time, I thought that that balance was one where you could have same-sex marriage and that you could have sex outside of marriage. But these days, I don't know. You definitely can't have the same-sex marriage. As far as the sex outside of marriage, I don't want to say that you could not, so to speak, allow it, but that it's just, it really does degrade society when you have rampant promiscuity. So, but to say it's immoral, come on. Like, I don't know. Maybe
If we have
it's not immoral. It's just really, really bad for society.
fact, if we accept migrants at all,
I don't care the moral. Come on, really? That's just a weird.
it's important that they assimilate into our culture. Yes, this is like one of the most important questions. Yes, yes.
In that sense, I agree with what I said. I agree. Same sex or sex outside of marriage is not immoral. I agree with that, but it does destroy society, and I think I was a little too trivial with that.
Disagree on that. If we accept migrants at all, it's important that they assimilate into our culture. Yes, this is like one of the most important questions. Yes, 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 yes.
Well, yeah, if you are going to accept migrants, you would want them to assimilate, but it's an idealistic proposition to assume that they ever would. I don't like this question because immigration mostly should just be, you really just shouldn't be having it, really.
It is important. Yes. It's like one of the most important ones I've answered yet. Yes.
I don't even know, though, about that one.
Abortion should be prohibited in most or all
How are you going to get people to assimilate? How are you going to do it, even if it is important?
cases. Yes. Mainly because it distorts cause and effect. And anything that distorts cause and
What a great answer.
effect is bad.
What a genius
It's
answer.
like I said, most people's religion is God. My religion is cause and effect. Right? And so abortion allows people to make bad decisions
I'm right on this question for a reason that most people aren't even right for.
and then get out of jail free on it. And so, in since they know that that option is available ahead of time, they go ahead and make those decisions. So there's no fear of repercussions of making these decisions. And abortion is less.
I love that argument so much.
Less about the kid dying than it is about.
I forgot about that
preventing people
argument.
From getting out of, getting bailed out of bad decisions. People just need to
Most people are like, the fetus, the kid, and I'm like, cause and effect, bro.
face consequences of the decisions they make.
Consequences, bro.
That's all it is. And it's really
I'm
just
so fucking pro consequences.
all about responsibility and consequence. That's the only reason.
Even my own, and I'm living it
It should be
every day.
prohibited in most cases. Obviously, in rape or other weird things, maybe it's justifiable. That's why I like the most.
Sure, you could justify it in those cases. Yeah, sure.
Or
If it were true that the woman was, R-worded and she also wanted the kid gone, then yeah, get rid of it. No doubt. I'm not one of those ridiculous religious people
the mother's gonna die,
that
that's
thinks
always
that.
the best example. Like if the mom's gonna die, I think she should have the right to choose her own life over the kid's life. That's a perfect
That's another good example, yeah, too. People who are that crazy, they're like, oh, don't kill it, no matter what, don't do it.
example where abortion
Bro,
should be
chill out.
But if you say it's not allowed in any case, well then that's just that's a shame. The kid's gonna come out fucked up anyway. If you let the kid out and the mom dies, like well the kid is done. It's GG. That kid
Yeah,
is going to come out fucked up. So, um, so it should be prohibited in most cases because it distorts cause and effect if you allow it rampantly. But yeah, I mean not in all cases. So gun ownership should be prohibited without those. No, that's stupid. It's like again, just
Loki, that's a what? I can't wait to see this.
distorting preservation of the self. Like anything that preserves the self is good. I support single payer. I support single payer universal health care. No, that is retarded.
It is a high IQ argument, isn't it? It's fucking good. It's better than I could have give today. What the
Also,
fuck?
I need to look this term up. Universal health care. No, that is retarded. Also, I need to look this term up just because like that is so fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb. Fuck that.
Like that is so stupid. Like these people think resources grow on trees.
Yeah.
Prostitution should be illegal.
I'm very curious what I answer to this. It has to be illegal. It absolutely has to be illegal. If I say no to this, I am crazy. I was totally misguided if I say
I
no.
mean, prostitution is going to be, they're going to do it whether it's legal or not, right? It's just about how illegal do you want to make prostitution. Because all women are prostitutes in a certain way.
Based. Man, I was
It
based.
just depends on the scope you want to look at it.
God.
So it just comes down to like what level of prostitution are we talking here? What to like at what point are they going to trade their pussy for you? Like, you know what I'm saying?
I didn't think I'd get this
at some point,
based
just
with
gonna
it.
happen. And so you know, if you make it
Calling them all
illegal, fine.
prostitutes anyway,
Then again, if you make
just to shit on them.
legal, then things just turn rampant. Like these women just become insane sluts. I mean, way worse. It'd be even worse than you see now on Instagram. These bitches are just insane, guys. It is a new level. So obviously, there's both sides here, but I mean, fuck it, right? They're gonna be prostitutes anyway, right? They're gonna sell their pussy. It doesn't matter. So
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know how much like making a law about it stops them from doing it. But come on, dude, don't put disagree there. You're just a little too degenerate.
fuck it.
It's okay. I've learned since. I would put agree there, but
Who the fuck cares? Maintaining family values is essential. Unfortunately, in this broken world, not really. Although it should be. I mean, it is. Okay, let's go. Let's take a step back. Actually, I don't know. I mean, family is such like a. I mean, nationalists would say yes. Libertarians would say no.
is it essential? Yeah, I hate that word. It's a little bit loaded. It's a little bit loaded, that word essential. But yeah, the answer to this is yes.
Just because if I valued what my family values, it would be ridiculous. But then again, if family
See, that's the thing. I give a good case for that not being true.
values were valued everywhere, this is the same thing as the rest of them. Like, if this was true in every case, it'd be great. But since it's only true in some cases, it's just not even that valuable. So, nah.
Damn, I was very unbased on a lot of topics.
That's essential. To chase
What the
progress at all
fuck?
costs is dangerous. I mean, this word is so fucking dumb. Progress. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, if it's technological progress, yeah. If
It's funny how sometimes I'm just like dead on, and then sometimes I'm like I'm on, but in a different way than I'd be on now, and then there's sometimes where I'm just
logical progress, if these feminists wanted to
totally
go and fucking
degen.
figure out how to contribute to artificial intelligence, yeah, be my fucking guest. But if you're coming up with bullshit and you call it progressive, like no. So yeah, it is dangerous, right? Progress at all costs is dangerous. Yes.
Yeah, because you're gonna get us
And
killed.
mostly, I'm going based on like what they call progress. But if you're going on basic terms of progress, maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Depends what the progress is. So that's another one of those stupid ass questions. Genetic modification of a force is a force for good, even on humans. Genetic modification
This
is
is a
force
this
for
is
good.
an interesting question. Whoa, this question's really interesting for my modern self. Way more interesting than it interested me here. This is a very interesting question. Genetic modification is a force for good. My transhumanist side would instantly answer yes to that, but my newly formed humanist side is very much answering no to this. So I believe I'm going to answer yes to this, but I honestly think today I would say probably not. I don't know. They're very like separate concepts.
Good, even on humans.
This is probably one of the most interesting
Probably,
questions.
right? I mean, I don't see what's wrong with genetic modification. What's wrong with
See,
that?
I knew I'd answer that. I knew I would answer that because I was truly through and through a transhumanist back then. And I'm not saying I'm not now, but I'm not transhumanist to a delusional standpoint, or rather, I've done so much research into the humanist perspective, the traditional, the family, the church, the marriage. I've done so much. I've spent so much more time in these kinds of circles, researching these kinds of topics, the ways in which they're important, and genetic modification. I think I'd be against that today, just because of my humanist side. Honestly,
What's
it
wrong with that?
sounds weird. If you start modifying genes, you're gonna fuck with society pretty badly.
I don't see what's wrong with it.
But they're gonna do it anyway. So in that regard, I'm right. And the transhumanists look, it kind of makes sense to be on that side of things because that's where we're headed anyway. So I don't have much of an issue with it, but
Let me.
yeah,
I mean, I just want to see what comes up. I don't see what's wrong with it. What's wrong with
yeah, like exactly. I knew I would answer that.
genetic?
I really was in the dark on this one. You can't answer that from the world model I had at the time. You just can't.
We should open our borders to immigration. Strongly disagree.
That's just a. You see how quickly I clicked that? I clicked that in 2 seconds. Like it's just not even a thought.
It's a no-brainer. No-brainer answer. Government should be concerned about foreigners as they are about their. Be as concerned about. Are they? Are you fucking kidding me? This question is disrespectful to even write.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
it is disrespectful. Like it really is one of those questions that makes you kind of want to smack the person who wrote it.
Unbelievable. As people, regardless of factors like culture or sexuality, all people, regardless of factors like culture or sexuality, should be treated equally.
Of course not.
No, because people aren't equal, right? Some people are
Right.
better at other things, right? You know, it's like they just want to take this idea that somebody can be better than another person at something. It's like, okay, I can be better or worse than you at chess. I can be better and worse than you at fishing. I can be better or worse than you at writing. But I can't be better or worse than you as a person? Fuck you.
Yeah, I give a
Fuck you.
really
Fuck
good
you.
argument.
Fuck you. Fuck you. If I'm better or worse than you at like almost everything, then I'm just fucking better than you. I mean, that's just the reality. So the idea that like all people should, like, and if you're not equal to me, I'm not going to treat you like you're equal. Now, if you're better than me at something, and I'm better than you at 99 things, but you're better than me at that one thing, I'll treat you, differently toward that one thing. But no, I don't agree.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I give a really, that was a really good argument.
It is important that we further my group's goals above all others, of course.
So this is what's weird is I get this sort of statist, like I get 63% authority. Like, are you kidding me? I argued the libertarian stance on so many things. I just love that I the markets is so high. That's super funny. Chauvinist nation. Yeah, I gave a very like I guess I just argued against the individualist side so many times. But yeah, I don't know this idea about neoconservatism or whatever. I don't really think so, but I don't know about the 83% authority either. That's just weird.
Mainly just because um, nationalism is the only thing that works at this time.
Right, right,
Now, if
right,
you
right,
raise
right.
the IQ of all humans to like 140, 120 even, I would not be answering half of this bullshit on nationalism.
Right, right, right.
But because humans are the way they are, you have to be a nationalist, otherwise it's not going to work, right? So, but yeah, I mean, preservation of the nation is fine. If humans could, if humans could do this world thing, then that would be great. But it doesn't work. Equality is a meme, right? Humans aren't equal, and that's just the reality.
I don't know. Obviously, you guys know, like, I'm hyper individualist. I don't know how I got not 63% authority. I guess it's really just that important, you know? It's really just that important. I can't believe
And
I
the people
watched this
is
whole thing.
the most important thing humanity can be doing right now. So traditions have a lot of things wrong. Mm, So I'm pretty.
Let me see, what do I write here? Let's see.
I express that there is a discrepancy between what system I would prefer to live under, and what system is best for the people. I tried to focus more on the individual questions than I did the result. For me, a lot of this was food for thought, and a lot is open to multiple answers. I think tests like this could also generate different results depending on even something as simple as what mood you're in. Regardless, I had fun with this, and I hope even if you disagree with a lot of my ideologies that I said at least a few insightful analogies along the way.
Wait, pretty
A note
retarded
about
takes. I don't know. I felt like there was only a couple dumb ones. Honestly.
A note about liberty vs authority. Despite it testing me as low on liberty and higher than I'd like on authority, I want to say that I heavily oppose the government intervening in personal lives. The problem, and likely the reason for me testing so high on authority, is that if the government doesn't ban these things on a personal level, they become normalized and lead to the downfall of cultural values.
Yep.
I gave an entire explanation on degeneracy in this video and what aspects of being degenerate are bad and what aren't. There is nothing wrong with an individual being a degenerate. The issue comes when they normalize it to themselves and the people around them. To me, everyone should know what normal is, and being abnormal should be frowned upon to prevent it becoming normal. If that was enough on its own to prevent people from becoming abnormal, then I would be 85% plus against authority. But as you see today, the rampant normalization of being degenerate is destroying modern society. Even look at myself, with video game addiction.
See, it's pretty funny
And
because I basically am saying straight up that same thing I was kind of saying earlier, which is that with the same sex thing, like I seem to think that that was just something that you could keep legal and shame it and it would be okay. You can't do that. You just can't. You can't expect shame and guilt to work on that kind of, in that kind of scenario. You just can't. You need a law behind that stuff.
the problem is, without an authority there to tell people that being a degenerate isn't okay, then it becomes normalized on a societal level. There is nothing wrong with an individual being weird and fucked up. The issue is we can't let individuals be weird and fucked up in their own houses without them going around and demanding free social points for being weird and fucked up. Then they get people who normally wouldn't have succumbed to degenerative lifestyles sucked in and ruin their mental and social prospects. I am all for individuals being who they are. But I am also all for there being social repercussions to who you are.
Mm,
And without a
well
master
said.
in place, you have what you have today. Rampant degeneracy everywhere. To be
Yeah,
a
but
straight
yet I
white male,
answered. I'm just very, like, I can't believe I answered that about the same-sex marriage. I can't.
to be a straight white male who wants to pump out 4 other white babies is now the most abnormal thing you can be. That gets you negative social points. I'd get more respect as a tranny. It is this
Based.
dynamic that ruins societies,
I'm
and my
talking
reason
shit.
for allowing an authority to have so much say-so in people's personal lives. Otherwise, I would be almost entirely liberty over authority.
Yeah. Pretty retarded takes. That's when you know you're doing something right. Fuck it, I'm not gonna listen to this and copyright the fucking thing. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna react to the other YouTuber. I'm pretty tired, honestly, after this. That really needs its own stream. It really needs its own stream. I just felt like watching that video over again and seeing what I thought about it. There's a couple takes that I disagreed with. Most of them I agreed with. Some of them I answered better than I could today. A couple of them I answered really well, but from a really inferior world model. And some of the questions themselves were just fucking stupid. Just stupid by nature, just dumbass questions. really questions you can't even answer properly at all anyway. So, but yeah, I'm quite tired, guys. I'm gonna head out. This was a good stream. Tune in again whenever my next one is. I'm going to be putting the notifications in my Telegram every time. So check it out. Follow me on Telegram if you aren't a pussy and can handle extremism. And I will see you next time.
Triple 2 lifestyle.